Good afternoon, folks. Please ignore that going on in the background. Welcome to another episode of Spilling the Tea. My name is Tiffany Daniels, also known as the Lady Autist on Twitter. So, today I kind of thought over my channel. In regards to the JDAH case, almost everybody who's been covering the case comes at it from a unique perspective. Whether it is Lost Beyond Pluto coming in from a lawyer's perspective, or several others, less from spiritually empowered coaching comes at it from her expertise. And I've kind of looked over and said there's nothing really that sets my channels apart from the others. So, I thought about what was unique to me as a person who is watching and covering this case, and that is my years and years of experience as being a self-advocate in the autism rights and disability rights community, and by over a decade of experience of doing that. So, I wanted to come in from that perspective because a lot of the same tactics that are used against us in those communities are now being used against those that support JD versus AH. So, I kind of wanted to go over what some of those are. The reason why I wanted to cover this is a lot of people are feeling beaten down. They're beaten down by the losses, the drawbacks, and the never-ending trolls that don't cease to hammer us. Believe me, I feel you. But I figure if I can help you identify what some of those tactics are and what it is they're trying to do, instead of maybe being beat down by it, I'm hoping it instead sets a fire in your belly. Because the fact of the matter is, if you are triggering them that much that they are coming after you, you're doing something right. You're on the right track. Alright, so to get started, I want to talk about a tweet that came up in my Actually Autistic hashtag today. Speaking of, and it was from a title. The title itself was a bait. The handle itself was bait. The handle was, "Please stop pretending to be autistic." Now, I imagine you know this is going to go downhill from here. But essentially what the tweet said was that they found it interesting that we have our own hashtag community. Often what we say is very sarcastic, witty, and humorous. Are we sure we're actually autistic? Now, boys and girls in the JD supporter camp, tell me, does this sound familiar? Because if it does, you're exactly right. It is a similar tactics that have been used against us. Now, this would be, of course, it's gaslighting, and it's looking to have one of two responses. One response is they want you to get angry. They want to get you angry enough to provoke a certain reaction. Because if they can get that reaction out of you, they can then share that reaction as evidence for their preconceived ideas. And if they can get that evidence for their preconceived ideas, they can dismiss what it is you're saying. Dismiss it and disregard it as useless. Number two is they use it, if they can, as a silencing tactic. If they get you doubting your diagnosis, in one case of the Actually Autistic hashtag, or if their baiting gets you so upset that you have to take a day, they just silenced you. And that's another thing that they want. They want you either dismissed or they want you silenced. One or the other. And that is more on the trolling side. See, these numerous trolls use that tactic as one of their main tools in their toolbox. They're literally there to provoke reactions. Now, moving on to the media. When your very existence actually flies in the face of a narrative. In the actually autistic communities, that would be the age-old stereotypes that have been spoon-fed down the throats of the universe in regards to what autism looks like, what it sounds like, what we can and cannot do, what we are and are not capable of. In the case of JD versus AH, when it flies in the face of believe all women, believe that all women are victims, men are the strong ones, men are in power, we must destroy the patriarchy, then that's usually when the media kicks in. It's usually when the media kicks in. So let me talk about some of the things that I've seen in media on both sides, just to give you a little bit of perspective. One thing that the media likes to do, and they do it in much politer terms, I'll give them that, but it's the same dismissive behavior, is they like to use dismissive terms in regards to people like us. When it comes to the actually autistic community, they like to use words of the privileged few. The privileged few, the high functioning, the old, they don't see the whole picture, or just dismissing our existence entirely by primarily focusing on only one side of the spectrum. That's one way they've been dismissing our existence for years. Just entirely disregard one side of the spectrum entirely as non-existent, or even that there's different functionings depending on the situation with each autistic. But that's an entirely different subject. Or in the case of JDAH, they like to use, oh yes, I forgot, internet autistics. That's my favorite. Internet autistics. See, they're pretending to be internet autistics because they think it makes them cool, makes them special. Okay, now moving on. JDAH, what the media uses is the Depp stans, the Depp fans, the Depp Uber fans, the fans that are just blinded by his star power, blinded by his looks. It's just dismissive terminology, and what they're trying to do is create this narrative to the wider public, who aren't as engrossed in this case as we are, is that we would support Johnny Depp no matter what, even if it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he did indeed abuse someone. It's dismissive terminology. And when they use terminology like internet autistics or fans or stans, what they're trying to do is to get the general public to disregard anything that you say. Whatever facts that you have, whatever content you may have, well, you can just dismiss and disregard that because it is biased because of A, B, and C. So, even when we are bringing up facts, if you got media telling you they're just doing it because of his star power, the average person may actually go along with that, saying, no, I can see that. I can see that. Celebrity culture, celebrity worship, the issues with celebrity worship. So, those are ways that they will use to silence or dismiss what we have to say. So, the question comes, alright, so how do we counteract that? How do we counteract these tactics used by trolls and by the media to either dismiss or silence us? Well, it's real simple, and it's more than just keep going. What you gotta do is you gotta level and you gotta open up with people. And believe me, as an autistic, that's asking a lot. That is asking a whole lot. We don't like to open up to people, especially not strangers. But you gotta be willing to do that, to make yourself vulnerable, to go into why you are supporting a person or supporting a movement. Just reach people down on their level. And sometimes, with all the media out there standing against you, you gotta do it on a person-to-person level. The person-to-person word of mouth is extremely slow. But word of mouth and a person having an actual face-to-face experience to you can't be as easily dismissed as social media can. A face-to-face, heart-to-heart conversation with someone goes a long way into getting facts out there, to counteracting flying in the face of a narrative that somebody's trying to sell about you. I know this because as an advocacy specialist, the best tool that I had was those one-on-one conversations. When I would go to the conferences where 6 months out of the year I might have seen my apartment maybe twice. But having those face-to-face conversations, having a drink with people, and just talking from the heart, from where you're coming from, how you're seeing things, can and does change things. Can and does change things. So never underestimate the power of the word of mouth or the face-to-face experience. Another way by counteracting is by creating videos like Stevie, like me, like Shelby, for people to be able to come in when they can't see you face to face and get that vulnerability from these videos, to hear where we're coming from with our own words, from the horse's mouth, as it were, as opposed to the words that the media puts in our mouths. Now, not everybody has the time to go digging for our videos, but remember that one person has two friends. Those two friends have two friends. You see where I'm going? By putting a face and a voice to it, those face-to-face encounters, those streaming encounters, those sit-down, level with people conversations go a lot further than you could imagine. Now, another way to counteract that, and this is primarily social media, is by doing things like we have been doing. We have been talking about our experiences on social media, and yes, we're going to get a lot of trolls when we do, a lot of them. But for as many trolls as we're going to get, there's going to be one person in that line. One person that's going to see the evidence, and then they're going to come and they're going to have questions. And there have been many of those who have gone from totally supporting AH to seeing those threats, questioning what they thought they knew, and actually doing the homework. So, guys, what I want you to get from this is a good idea of what they are going to try to use against us, so that you recognize the tactics for what they are. What I know, what I can tell you, is in spite of the tone of a lot of these attacks, they aren't personal. They're not really personal attacks on you. It is an attack on a movement altogether to serve a purpose. So if you look at it that way, why should it even matter what they think of us? Why should it even matter what they say, when all they're trying to do is just provoke you or silence you? Recognize the tactics for what they are. Don't take the bait. Don't let it silence you. Alright guys, I do appreciate you coming by today. Now, there's been no new news in the case, and I will definitely give you more news as I have it. Now, I don't get a whole lot of views on this channel. The few views that I do get do tend to get removed by YouTube. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time today, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.